For decades, Sweden relied on a small fleet of aging C-130H Hercules aircraft to sustain its air mobility and humanitarian operations. Those rugged turboprops had served faithfully since the late 1960s. But as Stockholm entered a new strategic era, joining NATO and preparing for high-intensity operations in the high north, the limits of its logistics system became increasingly visible. The answer did not come from Europe or the United States, but from Brazil. In October 2025, Sweden signed a $710 million contract for 4 Embraer C-390 Millennium transport aircraft, with an option for 7 more, becoming the first Nordic country and the first NATO state north of Germany to adopt the Brazilian jet. This decision surprised many observers. Why would a Scandinavian nation, known for engineering self-reliance and partnership with Western Europe, turn to a South American supplier for one of its most critical defense platforms? The explanation lies in a convergence of technology, cost efficiency, and a changing vision of how Sweden intends to support NATO operations across the Arctic and the Baltic. For Sweden, geography is destiny. From the forests of Lapland to the icy archipelagos of the Baltic Sea, distance and climate impose severe challenges on logistics. The Swedish Air Force's existing C-130H aircraft, despite multiple upgrades, simply lack the range and payload required for extended missions. NATO membership adds a new dimension: integration with alliance logistics, including rapid airlift to forward bases in Finland, Norway, and the Baltic states. The Swedish Ministry of Defense concluded that it needed a platform capable of carrying heavy equipment, up to 26 tons, at high speed and in extreme conditions, while remaining affordable to operate. Enter the C-390 Millennium. Unlike the turboprop Hercules or the massive Airbus A400M, the Embraer jet uses twin IAE V2500E5 engines, the same family that powers many commercial airliners, allowing cruising speeds around 870 kilometers per hour and lower maintenance costs due to widespread spare parts availability. The aircraft's unrefueled range exceeds 4,500 kilometers, sufficient to connect Stockholm to Svalbard or to deliver supplies deep into the Arctic without refueling stops. Its cargo bay can accommodate vehicles like the CV-90 infantry fighting vehicle or the Archer artillery system, both essential to Sweden's new ground mobility doctrine. The Swedish variant of the C-390 will incorporate an Arctic mod package, reinforcing the airframe, upgrading de-icing systems, and improving performance on frozen or semi-prepared runways. It will also integrate NATO's Link 16 data link system and the NORDEFCO digital network, allowing seamless coordination with allied aircraft from Norway, Denmark, and Finland. Crucially, the Swedish version will include a refueling capability compatible with Gripen E and F-35A fighters, providing an indigenous aerial tanker function that Sweden lacked before. Against competitors, the Brazilian jet represents a pragmatic compromise. The C-130J Super Hercules remains dependable, but offers limited payload and slower cruise speeds. The A400M Atlas delivers tremendous capacity yet suffers from high operating costs, nearly twice those of the C-390, and a maintenance complexity that few smaller air forces can afford. The Millennium's combination of jet performance, relatively simple logistics, and a competitive price made it the Goldilocks option for Stockholm. In terms of cost per flight hour, estimates suggest around $11,000 for the C-390, compared with roughly $21,000 for the A4000M, and only marginally higher than the C-130J, while offering 30% more payload and significantly faster turnaround. But the C-390's value extends beyond technical specifications. It marks a rare North-South partnership in defense production. Saab, Sweden's premier aerospace firm, will join Embraer's supply chain, producing avionics components and contributing to long-term maintenance. A joint training and simulation center is already planned in Linköping for 2027, which will serve both Swedish and potential Nordic operators. This cooperation grants Sweden industrial influence in a platform likely to gain traction across NATO, while offering Brazil access to the European defense market. Strategically, the acquisition is more than a fleet replacement. It transforms how Sweden and its neighbors think about mobility across the northern flank. In a crisis scenario, rapid reinforcement is everything. The C-390 can move troops, ammunition, or humanitarian aid from central Sweden to Finnish Lapland or Estonia in less than an hour, something the old Hercules struggled to achieve under Arctic conditions. By joining NATO, Sweden becomes a vital logistics bridge between continental Europe and the Northern Theater. The Millennium provides the means to make that bridge real. The aircraft's interoperability with Norway's C-130Js, Finland's C-295s, and NATO's tanker fleet ensures that Sweden can both give and receive logistical support during joint operations. Within the framework of NORDEFCO and the British-led Joint Expeditionary Force, these capabilities strengthen the alliance's ability to sustain high-tempo missions in the Arctic or the Baltic Sea. As NATO builds what some analysts call the Northern Logistics Corridor, linking bases from Scotland through Norway, Sweden, and Finland to the Baltic, the C-390 is poised to become a central node in that network. Another underappreciated factor is sustainability. The Millennium's jet engines, while more powerful, consume fuel efficiently at higher altitudes, reducing total flight hours for the same mission profile. Its maintenance cycle, designed for mixed military and civilian environments, allows Sweden to leverage existing commercial service infrastructure, further lowering lifecycle costs. For a nation that values budget discipline and technological independence, these attributes align perfectly with long-term defense planning. There is also a symbolic dimension. Choosing a non-European aircraft challenges the traditional procurement hierarchy within NATO. It signals that Sweden is prepared to diversify partnerships and focus on performance rather than political convenience. For Embraer, it is a powerful endorsement. The C-390 has now been selected by Brazil, Portugal, Hungary, the Netherlands, Austria, Czechia, and Sweden, a growing C-390 club that reshapes perceptions of where cutting-edge military aviation can come from. From a broader perspective, the deal reflects the accelerating militarization of the High North. Climate change is opening new sea routes, while Russia continues to expand its military footprint on the Kola Peninsula and along the Northern Sea Route. Airlift capacity is essential not only for deterrence, but also for search and rescue, disaster relief, and Arctic sovereignty patrols. In this environment, a fast, flexible, and cold-resistant platform like the C-390 offers NATO commanders unprecedented agility. For Sweden, this is also an assertion of strategic identity. After 2 centuries of neutrality, Stockholm's entry into NATO required rethinking the entire defense ecosystem, from fighter integration to logistics. The Millennium symbolizes that transition, a move from self-contained defense to network deterrence. Every sortie of the C-390 Millennium will embody the new Sweden, outward-looking, interoperable, and ready for the Arctic challenge. In the end, the question is not whether the C-390 is Brazilian or European, but how it fits into the evolving architecture of Northern security. It connects continents, industries, and doctrines. From the frozen runways of Luleå to the icy skies above Svalbard, Sweden's C-390 Millennium will not just carry cargo, it will carry NATO's future.